When Ninja Gaiden was released for the original Xbox, it was ahead of its time in both tech and gameplay. That was 4 years ago. A reworking and subsequent port to the PlayStation 3 later, and it's time for the true sequel. Fans will be glad to hear that Ninja Gaiden 2 still includes its graphite-smooth, melee-based combat that made the original a hit. But it also includes a lot of the same issues that weren't acceptable then, and definitely aren't acceptable now. It's Ninja Gaiden, and that means that legendary ninja Ryu Hayabusa of the Dragon lineage has weapon in hand, ready to wreck shop. This is Ryu's show. Though Rachel took a supporting role in Ninja Gaiden Sigma, the buxom blonde is MIA here. A new femme named Sonya enters the fray, though she bears a striking resemblance to Sigma's Siren. Things get moving quickly as Ryu's father is seemingly killed by the Black Spider Clan, the arch-rivals of the Dragon bloodline. Making matters worse, the clan's leader, Elizabeth, has taken a statue capable of reviving a beast known as the Archfiend and sending the world into chaos. As the last of his kind, Ryu follows Elizabeth around the world to try and regain the statue and stop the Archfiend before it gets started. You'll be clanging swords from New York City to the bowels of hell. While some might say those two places are the same thing, it's still a pleasant change from prior games in the series. Even so, the story is just as limp as ever, with characters you don't really care about and plot twists you can see coming.
All I'll say is that it concerns the Archfiend.
Ninja Gaiden 2 features a very simple design that harkens back to the days of yore when descriptors like free roaming and open-ended were mere sparkles in Rockstar's eye. Each level is self-contained and completely linear, with the only branching paths leading to item boxes or save points. You have the opportunity to save much more frequently this time around, and you'll even have your health refilled. In addition to lengthy load times at the top of each chapter, there are also mid-level loads that will pause the game in the heat of battle and leave doors you entered through locked up. The health system has also been revamped so that it rebounds at the conclusion of every major battle, minus any mortal wounds Ryu has endured. Knowing that barely surviving a battle isn't a death sentence definitely changes the strategy for the better. While there isn't any flexibility in how you tackle the quest, at least there's plenty of it. With over a dozen chapters to tackle, you'll get all you can handle from Ninja Gaiden 2, and then some. Once you complete the game, 2 more difficulty settings unlock. While prior games had challenge modes where you take on wave after wave of enemies, it's been incorporated into the single-player quest in the form of optional tests of valor, usually with a slightly extended health bar as a reward for survival. Rounding out the features is the Ninja Cinema, which allows you to record, upload, and view videos of players showing off their skills. It's a nice addition that could come in handy for late adopters who get stuck, but online play would have definitely gone a long way to bringing this series into the modern era. Squaring off against another human utilizing the deep combat of this series would be a dream, and unfortunately, it'll stay a dream. Despite the lack of online play and no standalone challenge mode, you're still getting a lot of playtime for your money. We're guessing that most players will never finish it. At the same time, this engine is beginning to show its limitations. If you played the original, then you already know that Ninja Gaiden has some of the smoothest, most addictive combat of any video game in history. For better or worse, nothing's really changed here. There are some new weapons, like the versatile Falcon's Talons or the absolutely brutal Scythe, but it can take a while to really be able to hold your own with a lot of them. You will die over and over and over, even if you're using a weapon you're comfortable with. There's just no way around it. At the outset, there's what's supposed to be an easy difficulty setting called Path of the Acolyte, and a veteran setting dubbed Path of the Warrior. Both provide a stiff and uneven challenge. One minute you feel like a master ninja, and the next you're getting wiped out by a single enemy combo. Ninja Gaiden games have always been extremely difficult, but this is the first one that can be downright cheap. Expect to be attacked rounding blind corners or as soon as doors open. Then there are the incredible boss fights. Well, the first 10 times you try them. They have no rhyme or reason. There are no hints and no flashing body parts to denote weak points. It's all trial and error as you go through all of Ryu's weapons and abilities trying to find the right combination. There's even a boss with no eyes that is seemingly begging you to sneak around the battlefield so he doesn't know where you are, yet sneaking will only get you killed even more quickly. Then there's a two-part battle where the second boss explodes upon death, wiping Ryu out in the process. Good luck figuring that one out. It's no surprise that Ninja Gaiden 2 is difficult, and it's even less of a surprise that its saving grace is the combat. No other game gives you so many ways to slice and dice. Each weapon has a seemingly endless array of attacks, with new ones added for each of the 2 level upgrades. It can take the entire game to truly master each of the 9 armaments, but that's also nothing new. Luckily, not everything is the same. Ryu now has the ability to finish enemies with brutal obliteration techniques. Just gash them to a stunned state and press the Y button for one of the most over-the-top depictions of limb removal to ever grace the entertainment medium. Best of all, they change with each weapon. Of course, you can hack limbs off during normal combat as well, and the enemies will keep coming, dragging themselves toward Ryu to stick him with an exploding shuriken. The magical ninpo attacks can also be leveled up 2 times for added oomph. What all this amounts to is a game that's often more fun to watch than it is to play. Success requires split-second timing, both offensive and defensive skills, and a whole lot of luck. When you do finally complete some of the game's stiffer challenges, you rarely feel like you played your best to do it. Sometimes enemies simply fall into strange animation loops, allowing you to take them out. The game has added a hot selection menu for weapons and items using the D-pad, but you might as well hit start, as the action pauses either way. The gameplay is topped off by some simple platforming that is hampered by a stodgy camera, and it doesn't do you any favors in combat either. Ryu is constantly attacked by enemies you cannot see, and the camera darts from one side to the other, making it difficult to keep track of them. There's no denying that Ninja Gaiden 2 lives up to its reputation in the gameplay department, but it also mirrors its former self in a number of less flattering ways. Team Ninja was once known for getting a lot out of any console it worked on. The problem is that the engine it established itself with is basically the same one it's still using today. Unfortunately, it has limitations. The shadows are pixelated, common effects like reflections are often missing, and it can slow to a crawl depending on the action. That said, when it's on, it's really on. The creature designs are incredibly cool, and a lot of the enemies and explosions can be dancing all over the screen before it buckles. And it still manages to look every bit as good as Ninja Gaiden Sigma for the PlayStation 3. A mixture of pre-rendered cinemas and recorded movies utilizing the in-game engine move the major plot points forward, though watching tanks attempt to blast a demon perched atop a building is a little comical.
Fire!
Ryu doesn't say much, but he tends to speak up with his hands. The rest of the voice acting holds up,
You ungrateful monkeys.
and while we'd like to hear more music, what's here is successful at setting the grim tone. Ninja Gaiden 2 adheres to the Team Ninja aesthetic, which will please fans, but won't endear the series to a new audience. The addition of the rebounding health bar and obliteration techniques provide the player with some relief and new ways to mow through enemies, but cheap AI, some rather sinister design choices, and an aging engine offsets a lot of the gains. It's more of a renovation than a brand new construction, making it a great game with incredibly visceral combat, but one that will pound the average player into submission far too quickly.